Hi friends, welcome to Taming Python series. In this video, we're going to talk about selecting a subset of a data frame based upon the index or column positions using the iloc function. So what we are basically trying to do is, if you want to select some only 10 rows, or if you want to select only rows from 5th to 15th rows, or if you want to select only the first 10 columns or some second to 8th column, if you have criteria like that in your data science projects, then iloc is the function which you have to use. So let me try to give you some examples, some scenarios here. Okay, suppose if I have a data frame named df, and if I want to select from second to fifth columns, and if I want to select from 12th to 28th rows, then I just write df.iloc, and here I will select the ranges. So for the 12th to 28th rows, you have to write 11 to 28. That means for 12th column means index number 11, right? So you have to write 11 to 28. So why 28? Because for the 27th row you have to write 28. That's how ranges work in Python, right? You have to give a number extra at the end. So that's why to select the rows with index 11 till 27, you have to write 11 to 28. And to select the columns with index 1 to 4, you have to write 1 to 5, because at the end of the range you have to write one number extra. So that's how ranges work in Python, right? And if you want to select only 5th to 9th columns, that means columns with index 4 to 8, you have to write 4:9. And then if you want to select columns only 45th to 64th rows, I mean if you want to select rows from 44th index to 63rd index, you have to write 44 to 64, one extra at the end. Okay, and if you want to select only rows with index 158, then you write 158 here. That's all. So it's pretty simple. And one more thing is, to specify the row range, you have to write it at the first, and to specify the columns range, you have to write it at the second. And if you want to take all the rows, you just mention the colon like this. That's all. That means what this specifies is, you can take, it will filter out all the rows, but columns will be given 158. Only 158 indexed columns will be there. In this example, all the rows are not taken, only 44 to 63 index rows are taken, but since I have given colon, all the columns will be considered. So this is how you can select a subset of a data frame using the iloc function. So the input you give to the iloc function is the index ranges of the columns and rows. Okay, so I have taken an example file to demonstrate this iloc function. You can download the file from here, and I will even provide the link of the file used in this example in the description of this video, so be sure to check it out. And so let's try to get started and try to play with this iloc function. So for this, I will take a blank folder and I will paste the CSV file which I have mentioned just now in this blank folder. I'll open it with VS Code. I will create a new file. I'll just name it index.py. Alright, my index.py is open. So first I'll import pandas as PD, and then I will read the CSV file into data frame. I can do that using df equal to pd.read CSV. So read CSV, you can read the CSV as a data frame. I will leave the link of the video demonstrating pandas.read CSV and read Excel in the description of this video. You can see if you don't know how to read data frame from CSV or Excel files. So the name of the Excel is genschedules.csv. So I'll just copy the name and paste it here. All right. So now my data frame will be loaded into this variable called df. So let me try to verify by just printing and displaying it to you. So I'll just written one line read CSV, and then I'm printing the data frame. So my data frame should be printed. So let me see the output. You can see I got the data frame and it has 100 rows and 41 columns. Okay, you can see these are the row labels 0 to 99, and these are the column labels. So these are the column headers basically. Let's go with our example. Our example, we have taken second to fifth columns and 12th to 28th rows. So let me try to copy this so that I can remember it. So now if I want to select second to fifth columns, that means in languages, second means first index, right? So df of, first we have to think about rows. So 12th to 28th rows, that means 11 to 27, but at the end you have to increase one number, so 11 to 28. So these are, so by using this statement you can get rows with index 11 to 27, and then second to fifth columns. That means columns from 1 to 4, but increase 1 at the end. That means you can take columns with index 1 till index 4. That means second to fifth columns, right? So this is how I can get the data. Oh, I'm sorry. I just have to write df.iloc. df.iloc, the column row indexes range and column index range. So basically I'm getting a subset of the data frame based upon the positions of the columns and rows. So that's why the title of this post is getting a subset of the data frame based upon your column row positions of the data frame. So I'll just name it df2. df2 is df.iloc, and I have given the ranges of rows and columns. So let me try to print this data frame df2. I'll just save this and I'll just run it. You can see I've called 11 to 28. That means index from 11 to 27 should come. You can see row label 11 to 27, okay, and the columns 1 to 5. So these were the columns from 1 to 5. So we have successfully got a subset of data frame using .iloc, and I am giving the row and column ranges in this iloc argument. So suppose if you want to get all the rows, you just write a colon here, that's all. That means what happens is all the rows will be qualified and only second to fifth columns, that means column index 1 to 4 will be qualified. So let me try to print df2 now. You can see 100 rows, all the rows have come, but the columns which I have specified are from index 1 to 4. So I've got only 4 columns here. The same way I can just write, suppose I want to take the first 10 columns, first 10 rows. So I'll write 0 to 9th index, but you have to write one more, so 0 to 10. And here if I want all columns to be printed, I'll just keep a colon here. That means all columns will be qualified, but rows from 0 to 9 index, that means first 10 rows. So let me try to save it and run it. You can see I got all the columns, 41 columns have come, but the number of rows is only 10 because the index I have selected is from 0 to 9, right? So 0 to 9. So it's a simple function df.iloc, but it's really powerful because you can easily slice a data frame based on if you know the positions where you want to slice it. And one more case I have to cover is if you want to select selected rows or columns, if you know the index. So suppose if you want to get only 0, 5 and 9, if I want to get the rows of only these row indexes, suppose I want to get only the 0th index row, 5th index row and the 9th index row, these are the row positions, then only these 3 rows will be qualified. So you can say I will save it and run it. Once I've got all the columns and I've mentioned the positions of the rows, 0th row, 5th row and 9th row. That's why I've got the 0th, 5th and 9th rows. The same way you can do it for columns also. Let me try to get all the rows, and if I want to say something like 0, 8 or some 3, I can specify those column indexes like this, and if I run this, you can say I got 100 rows, but I got only 3 columns because I mentioned the column positions here in this line. So that's why I got only 3 columns. You can see I got only 3 columns. So that way you can even explicitly mention which column numbers or rows, which column positions or row positions you want to slice from the data frame. So this way iloc is really powerful. You can see I've created a blog post on selecting a subset of data frame based upon index or column positions using iloc function, and I've also given the example. You can copy paste this example and practice in your own IDE. So be sure to check out this post in the description of this video. Hope you like this video. Thank you for watching.